Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. It's time for Damage Control with your host, Joe Reichel. He's in the studio. He's one of the co-owners of Damage Control Services. They repair homes when they are damaged. They conduct disaster restoration, I guess is the right way to say that. And he's here to answer some of your questions. If you have any questions about what he does, or perhaps you have a do-it-yourself project, and a couple of tips might not help, wouldn't hurt, I guess is the way to say that. Joe will answer the question. The number is 622-9622, and you look good with that hat. That's a nice hat.
Well, thank you.
It's a good look. It's amazing how one piece of clothing will change your look, huh?
I like hats.
Do you?
I do. Hats are fun.
How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. We got some great weather out there today that is prohibiting us from taking care of some restoration projects outside.
Prohibiting you?
Prohibiting us, yeah.
Oh.
A lot of exterior work to do today.
Ah, okay. And it's because it's wet or cool?
Yeah, when it's raining like this, it's kind of hard to make the guys go out and stand in the rain. It didn't really get cold enough this time around to cause any damage for us. Fortunately, nobody had any damage that I know of. So, it's one of those things where you never know, and especially this early in the year for us, getting that type of cold weather below freezing is something that we need to be worried about or be concerned, and make sure you're taking care of your pipes and keeping them insulated, especially if you have any plumbing that is in an attic or underneath a house in a crawl space area. These areas, they definitely need to have be insulated. As well as your well outside. After
you left, must have been last week. Last week was the freeze, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a call, and I told them I would tell you. So this is what he suggested. If you have a leak in the house, and you don't know where the cutoff valve is, his suggestion was turn on all your outside valves, and it'll release the pressure, and there won't be as much going inside.
That's another, yes.
I never thought of that.
That is true. Or turn off turn off your breakers to your well. If you're on a well, you can turn off the breaker.
Yeah. That would do it. Yeah.
Turn off the breaker to the well and your hot water heater. Turn both of those off.
So that's kind of I'm expanding on the thought now. What if I just went all over the house and just turned on every faucet? It would release the pressure from. Yeah,
you wouldn't have as much water coming out in the leak area.
You still have to fix it.
Yeah, and you're still going to have water coming out.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a leak there, so it will still continue to drain.
I guess it was last week we were talking about how a tiny little hole will make 250 gallons or something in the course of it. Yeah. But we didn't get any. You didn't get any of those kind of calls.
Is that a phone call coming in on the call-in line?
Do you have somebody coming in?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Well, this was kind of a last-minute thing.
Okay. Well, good. Well, whoever it was stopped. So
okay.
They'll have to call back.
He'll probably call back.
Okay.
It's going to be Dale from DIY.
Oh, okay.
He's going to be calling in, and we're going to be talking about materials and things like that you can get for taking care of some of your restoration projects or projects coming out.
And that is one of the topics, too. People want to know more about the do-it-yourself stuff. I don't know. I can't keep my eye on that. Can you see?
Well, it was... he's got a few minutes yet. I just heard a ringing. I don't know if that was...
oh, okay. You didn't see the light behind it?
I did not. I mean, it's lit up now. Is that what it does?
Oh, no, not that light. No.
Oh, okay.
One of these lights will come on, and then we'll know that there's somebody coming through. I just need a mirror or something, a rear view mirror here.
A rear view mirror.
That's what I should do, get a bicycle mirror right here on the microphone.
That would be cool.
And then I can, it's lit up.
That'd be kind of goofy looking.
Not a bad idea.
Everybody would be thinking you're looking at you, and you're looking at yourself.
That's an ego thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that...
You don't want to borrow my hat.
Yeah. Except my head's too big. So when we are doing do-it-yourself projects,
right?
Where do you go when you have a question? I mean, you're the guy we go to. Where do you go?
Well, the internet is probably one of my biggest allies for projects and things like that. So.
And am I asking too much to ask about a project specifically? Do you have a project you can talk about that you've done?
Well, I mean,
in your own home.
Yes. I installed a vent, and I forget what they're called. A bathroom vent. Fan.
Okay.
Yeah, a fan.
You mean
bathroom fan?
That sucks the heat and the smell out of
it? Right. An exhaust fan for the bathroom.
There you go. That's the word.
I couldn't remember what it was called. And I had never done it before. I didn't know what I was getting into. So I looked on the internet and read the package before doing it, and it was relatively easy. I was surprised, and that's something I don't normally do, or we don't normally do, because that was something that the electricians would install whenever they're doing the project. So it was kind of a neat little thing I did myself. But
so, any challenges? Anything that got you stumped and you had to ask for help?
No, not really. It was kind of difficult to get into the attic and fit in the areas that I needed to go.
And the phone line has rung, and I can't pre-answer it, so we'll just go straight to it, hoping it's... Who are you expecting?
This is going to be Dale.
Dale, all right. Is this Dale?
This is Dale.
There you are. All right, good. Good morning, Dale.
Good morning, Larry.
This is Dale. Dale's the manager for DIY, right?
Yes, sir. DIY Home Center Outlet.
Tell us a little bit about what you do, Dale.
We basically cater to the mobile home industry. We have a lot of mobile home doors and windows. We also have paneling, ceiling board, anything you need to do as far as cleaning up and fixing up your home. A lot of people are doing it. And if you need flooring, we have floorings of all kinds, the laminates, tile, carpet, and the different widths, anywhere from 12 foot to 15 foot.
Hang on one second. I've got to say hi to Patrick. Okay. And Patrick is walking by the studio. He is with Mike Sirocco Electric. He just walked by.
All right.
Sorry about that, Dale. Yeah, Dale, fine. And the reason I wanted you to call in today, right here in the studio where we're sitting, you guys supplied the doors for the different rooms, as well as the trim that was used to trim out the building here, right?
Yeah, I believe that's true. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is the some of the base in some of the rooms. The base trim is, you said predominantly mobile home is where you focus, but you also, this is some 6-inch base, and these doors that are in here are something that anybody could put in even a custom home, right?
Right, and we do carry the residential materials like that. A lot of things are not just mobile home; they're either or. Say like the moldings, we do have the residential and we do have the mobile home types. They're usually a little bit smaller profile than the regular residential moldings.
Right, and you have a pretty extensive cabinet selection as well, right?
Yes, sir. We sell a lot of kitchens here, and one of the thing about our cabinets is they're solid wood. There's no particle board in them.
Right.
We have a wide selection. We carry some in stock, unfinished, and what they call the Florida oak, which is the finished, kind of like a shaker type. But come on by, and we'll be glad to show them to you. We do have cabinet experts and cabinet top. We do custom cabinet tops, and about anything you need to fix up your mobile home or house.
Very good. Very good. Where are you located at, Dale?
We're located at 2191 Northwest 10th Street. That's also US 27. We're right across the street from the Boot Barn, and if you look over there, you'll see a Dollar General right next to that.
Excellent. I know exactly where you are, and with those directions, I'm sure any of our listeners can find it. Let me ask you this: if I was, just a homeowner, and I'm thinking I need something, would it make sense for me to call there ahead of time, or just come on down, or what would be the best approach for me as a homeowner? Say I'm looking for a door I need to replace a door in my house or something like that.
A lot of these items is, it's a matter of taste. It's there's no standard doors. It's according to what kind of window you want, what kind of panels, if you want it just flat or if you want 6-panel doors, things like that. It's really always better to come in and look because there's such a wide variety. It's hard to describe over the phone, but we'll be glad to talk to you anytime you do call. And also there's different ways of measuring these doors. That it's not like a house. Mobile home windows are measured different as the doors are also.
Right.
And we can explain that if you give us a call.
Excellent.
629-8948.
What was that number again? 629?
8948.
8948.
Correct.
And once again, give that address again, Dale, for me.
2191 Northwest 10th Street, and that's also US 27.
Perfect. Thank you, Dale, very much for calling in today because, like I said, you guys were an instrumental part in a lot of the materials that were used here on this project and here at the mall whenever we did the build-out for the studio here and supplying trim and doors and things like that. So thank you very much for calling today.
Glad to do it.
Excellent. Have a great day.
Okay, you too.
And that trim made a big difference too. I mean, when they put that in, it was like night and day. Just a little thing like that.
Little things like that do make a big difference in the finished project, and that's something that even like for example, a project that I'm working on with a homeowner right now. Not a homeowner. This is actually an office, and we're talking about how we want to go about things, and we talked about a 6-inch trim, and of course 6-inch trim is a lot more expensive than the standard trims. That would be like a 4-inch trim. A lot more expensive, and it's more labor intensive. A little bit more labor intensive to put it in. More material. More paint. I mean, so it is a more expense. However, the finished project is, in my mind, night and day difference as far as the look, the finished look that you get. So, once again, and this is the difficulty with our job. Whenever we're helping a home or business owner with a project, we have to give you a look that you want within the budget that you have.
Right.
So,
and I guess if you were able to afford the more affordable, one question might come to mind, and we've had different real estate experts on the show, but they'll say that when you're ready to sell the house, that little extra investment can go a long way in selling a house.
Oh yeah, I mean even just talking to property appraisers. I met with one this past Friday night, and we were talking about a home that he had just appraised, and we were talking about things in a home that really increase the value, and one of them we were talking about was the trim. So, I mean, your trim, your cabinets, your bathroom fixtures, these are all things that are upgrades that you can do that give you a nicer look and also more value for your home.
And removing old trim. In order to put on new, like in this case, there was never trim here.
Right.
So if you wanted to put new trim on but had to remove the old trim, is it actually harder to remove the old stuff?
It is a difficult process, and that's one thing that a lot of times, as people are fixing their homes, or even somebody if they're fixing up to sell it. Sometimes people tile put new tile in a home, and they'll put it up to the old base or the existing base. They'll tile right up tight to it. So then when you want to remove it, you've got to be careful pulling that away because you've got to get it from behind the tile, out from behind the tile. So that's one thing that we've noticed in older homes. And you've got to be careful pulling it off because you can't just put a pry bar behind there and use the drywall to pry against because you'll put marks in the drywall.
Sure, yeah.
And we've seen homeowners, or we've done that even, in our demolition of things. So, there is a little finesse that's needed and going about it carefully, not just going in and tearing things apart. The bull in the china cupboard mentality.
Well, there's usually advice on some products that are cleaning products. They'll say, test it out on an unseen area first. So maybe if you're going to remove old molding, you go into the behind the wall or in the bedroom where nobody else is going to see it.
It's one of those things that, I mean, there's different techniques that you can do, and one is going straight in at a joint and, prying it apart that way instead of going from the top down to pull it away from the wall. Or make sure you're doing it right on the corner where there's going to be, or where a stud's at,
right,
prying against an actual stud behind it. And those are oftentimes hard to find. But if you're using that method rather than just going anywhere, and once you start prying that, it will mark the drywall, and then you'll have to do a drywall patch.
How is it glued on there, right?
It is, well, it depends what kind of trim that you have, but typically if it's a wood trim, it'll be nailed in.
Oh, okay.
But it's also one way that they do that is caulk along the top as well. So if you're going to be replacing it and you do have caulking on there, you want to cut that with a utility knife first, because if you just go ahead and start pulling it, that caulking has adhered to the drywall and it'll rip the paper on the drywall. So another little tip there is to cut that first so that it'll pull apart.
So there's no solvent you could spray in there or something?
Not typically.
Apart, yeah.
No. But if you have like vinyl cove base, which is what you have here in the studio, that is glued on. So as you're pulling it, you want to pull it off gently because it will pull the paper and rip it.
And I know this was a real big difference, but when we moved out of the other studio, we had on the doors, we had nameplates that were glued there for like decades, okay?
Right.
And so we tried manhandling them off just with knives or whatever, and it was really... So the trick, cutting to the chase here, was WD-40. Sprayed it in there, and it broke up... It
cut the bond.
Yeah, it did whatever it does to that hardened glue.
Yeah, the problem with that is then it leaves a mess on the drywall, on the existing paint.
Yeah.
And it'll leave a greasy residue. So you'll have to clean that with a nice solvent before trying to repaint.
I guess it would, right? So
a minor little detail.
Are there any things in the house that are similar to a car? In other words, attached with nuts and bolts that become a problem if they've been sitting for too long? Anything you can think of? Doesn't sound like it.
Well, I'm not really sure what you're saying. I'm trying to think. I'm trying.
Well, like in a car, for example, or anything that's had like the toilet. The toilet is bolted to the floor. So there's I just answered my own question.
Right.
And you can't move that. You got to cut that, don't you? There's
Well,
no way that liquid wrench stuff is ever going to move that nut.
Well, those nuts are, I mean, if they're rusted, probably not. And we have had to cut a few of them, in order to get them out. But typically, you can loosen them up enough if you had to remove the toilet in order to get put a new toilet in or fix it. And that's something, kind of going along with what you were saying. I was in a house doing an inspection last week. They had some mold behind some trim, and I'm looking at what they've got, and they're fixing the house up. And this is an investor, but they had someone come in and do tile, and they tiled right up to the existing toilet. This is something I would never recommend anybody doing.
No, because you have to tile under the toilet, right?
Right, and in tiling up to the toilet, if you had to replace that toilet or something happens, you're not going to be able to get that toilet out without breaking it.
Right.
If you had to fix it. So that's something, it is sometimes easier, cheaper, faster just to tile up to the commode, but, something you should always do is pull it in order to pull that and then tile under it.
There's an ad, and I don't know who it's for now. I'm trying to think, and I've heard it here on this station, and it's a lady calling this fake do-it-yourself show. It's a show like yours, but yours is real. and she's talking about my husband's out of town and my toilet's flooding. What should I do? And the guy goes, "Oh, don't worry. Those little seals are like real cheap and real easy to put in, and that big waxy thing you've talked about it before,
right? The wax ring,
yeah." So I don't know what it was a commercial for. I don't remember.
It might have been an ad for Mike Scott Plumbing.
Did they do an ad?
I don't know.
Those ads, by the way, should get some awards.
They should.
Those are the ones that Dan does with Brittany.
Right.
And
I got to be a
That's
a
right.
guest voice for one of them.
That's right. You were one of the
cavemen.
Cavemen, right?
Yeah, Ugh.
That's still running, I think.
Probably.
I think that ad is still on there.
Probably. I've got some Mike Scott plumbing water in front of me. Even.
Yeah, you do. Was that the melted one? No.
No, this is
not melted snow. Melted iceberg.
No. That's Dusty from Mike Scott Plumbing.
Oh, okay. He's on the label.
He's on the label.
The whole do-it-yourself I did, the gentleman that just called from the DIY store, DIY center, man, that is common. I can remember even as a kid, I don't think very many of the people in my neighborhood could afford really to have contractors for most things. Mm-hmm. Most things that all the people I remember were always do-it-yourselfers. So,
well, and that's something that a lot of people want to do it themselves, and even in what we do as far as disaster restoration, a lot of times homeowners there'll be a certain part of the project that they'll want to do, and that's fine. If it's something that they feel comfortable doing, as long as it's not something that we need licensed or insured. Like a lot of times the homeowners will want to do the painting, or they'll want to, whatever it be. So, people just have that desire to be a part of it and to get involved with it, and that's a great thing.
But here's a little thought I have. Okay, and I know it's veering a little bit from what you normally talk about, but you have expertise. So it's not just about the tools, it's also about what you got in your head. So, and here's the non-related thing. When I was much younger, I didn't have much money for a recording studio, and I wanted to record some music. Well, there was a guy who offered a do-it-yourself recording studio.
Right. And
I went in there, and I had no idea what to do. So I was constantly going to his side where people were paying big bucks and saying, hey, how do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do this? And I felt bad. I thought, wow.
That's the reason that people pay the big bucks.
I should be paying for that.
Yeah. And that's where, like you said, not only the knowledge, but having the tools too. It's for me, for example, I know nothing about cars. If I lift the hood of my car, I'm looking under there and I would be lost. It's, I know where the battery is and how to check the oil and little things like that. But to actually fix something, and I don't have the tools to do it.
Which is hugely important with cars.
Exactly.
Right? Probably hugely important with everything.
And so that's where I'm going with this as far as, fixing the house or doing something on a project. We have all the tools to do it. We've invested that part and have the tools and the knowledge to take care of, whatever it takes. And a lot of times these tools make it, it's a lot easier to do the project because of having the right tools. It's always important to make sure you have the right tools. But
getting back to doing your own trim at the bottom, and then finding a place that nobody will notice it. I guess what I was trying to get at is you have the tools, you don't really have the knowledge, so you're literally teaching yourself in a hidden space until you kind of get the knack of it.
Well, and it'd probably be best to start there as far as doing your cuts and until you get used to it.
Yeah.
But then again, hopefully, if typically. What normally happens is, in most homes, the trim is painted, so you're going to be caulking and painting all of the spots that, you maybe had messed up with the saw or, didn't get them as tight as you wanted them to get. So,
yeah, hopefully
you can cover it up a little bit.
Is there one tool you wouldn't do without? Is it a simple one? Is it a hammer? Something simple?
Well, to me, most important on any project would be my tape measure.
I was going to guess that actually.
Yeah,
because you got to know everything's got to be exact.
Right, and that's the difference between different types of carpenters. If you've got a rough carpenter, for example, who's doing framing, he's not going to be as careful typically as someone who's doing like a trim carpenter that's doing the finishing touches on a project. But your tape measure, I wouldn't think of working without one. You've got to have it.
And that's as low tech as it gets, isn't it?
That's pretty much low tech.
Maybe a hammer is a little bit lower.
A hammer can be used for all sorts of projects, but hammers are important too.
What do you use the peen part of a ball peen hammer for?
A ball peen hammer.
The ball part.
Right.
Whatever. What do you use that part for?
A ball peen hammer is typically used in metal work. So that's where you would use a ball peen hammer.
And what do you use it for? The ball part?
Well, depends what you're hitting, but usually,
does this like flatten out sheet metal or something? Or?
Well, I mean, you can use it for taking dents out or impressions. You can tap it around the area to flatten it back out. But yeah, that's a ball peen hammer is not something that you'd use for rough or for carpentry or type stuff we do.
It's not heavy.
Typically.
It's usually a light hammer.
Yeah, they're a little hammer. Cute little hammer.
And I love the name, the ball peen hammer.
The ball peen hammer.
Just never knew what the. So why is it ball peen? Where's the peen?
I don't know. We'll have to look that up for next week's show.
The ball is the ball part.
I'm guessing. Well, I'll do some research. I'm going to write that down, Larry.
So is a regular hammer a hook peen?
Well, you have a claw hammer, and then you have a straight or a curved claw hammer.
You have a focal. Somebody knows.
Somebody will tell us what's the ball peen
radio
hammer
was the
for.
original Google, by the way.
There you go.
There's always somebody out there who knows. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, guys. Yeah, they told me years ago in shop class back in the 60s that was for peening over old-fashioned rivets.
Right.
For one use. That was one use anyway. There may be others, but yep, you're right, though. It's sheet metal related.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Is the garden show on anymore? I've been out of touch here lately.
You just missed it. It was on at 9 o'clock.
Okay. You just moved the time. Okay, gentlemen.
All right. Thanks
for your knowledge.
Thank you. He must be gone a long time. It's been 9 o'clock forever for the gardening show.
I don't
know. Well, it's another half hour done.
Quickest half hour of my day.
Quickest half hour. How long have you had the hat?
For a while now.
Okay.
I like hats. I've got several of them. I'll start wearing them more often for you, Larry.
What do you call that kind of hat? What is that called?
A cap?
Just a cap?
I don't know.
I thought it had a name. A golf
Probably
cap?
does.
A golf cap?
I do wear them golfing.
It reminds me of Phil Collins. I think Phil Collins used to wear that kind of hat. What is your number, John?
My phone number is 352-817-6574, or you can email me, joe@damageflorida.com.
There you go. And if you need Joe's number repeated, call us. We'll be glad to do that for you over the phone. And the DIY number also, I wrote that down if you need that as well. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Larry.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
ABC News.